Hello and welcome back to Football-Oranje, your home of Dutch football. I'm Michael, joined by Abdul and Mike for a preview of the Nations League quarter-final between the Netherlands and Spain. So to any of those Netherlands fans that have come out of hibernation since our last streams for the Netherlands, we're back and we're here to talk about the Netherlands. I'm really looking forward to this because it's another chance for Netherlands to do well in a big competition and to do well against a top team, something which Koeman has struggled with in his second time in charge. So how are you both? How are we feeling ahead of this?
Well, not very confident. I'm sure that so many of Oranje fans are not really confident. Since Koeman in his second spell, he did not really defeat any big name. He played Germany twice. He played France. He played England, either a draw or a loss. And now we know that Spain is probably at their best level. So so many fans are not really, are not really confident. But I think if we play right, if Koeman finds the right lineup, maybe we can do something and we can have a good result against Spain.
Yeah, I think this is a strange time. I don't know really how to feel about these games because, one, you want Netherlands to win something, but two, if we do beat Spain, it hurts the chances of reaching the World Cup. So it's weird. Do you want a better World Cup draw or do you want to win the Nations League? That's the sort of toss up here. Looking at the Spain squad, I think they've actually left out quite a few of their better players as well for these games and some of the players that are on form. So looking at the squads, I actually do think Netherlands have a chance. But whether I actually want them to have a chance is the thing, because if they get through the semi-finals, get beat, that locks us into a tougher group for the World Cup that they might not get through. So they might miss out on the World Cup. So we're not all confident about Ronald Koeman here. We're not all confident about his squad selections, the way he plays, the players that he's picking on form. So as the World Cup's the main aim, then for me, as much as I hate to say it, it might be better to lose these games.
I just want to see the Netherlands have a bit of excitement and really go far in something like this. It'd be nice to come back in June and be in the semi-finals, and there's a bit of a turnaround. But yeah, with our reservations on Koeman and how it has been, you have to look at this realistically, and this will be over 2 legs. This is going to be very tricky. So, of course, playing home at first is another thing that makes this a bit more difficult. I see what you're saying, Mike, but I just can't. I can't feel that. It must be better if we lose this. But I understand that, of course, this makes a kind of World Cup draw. So 2 ways of looking at it. Well, guys, I think before we go any further, I think it's time to show something that we've got new from Football-Oranje. We realise this is out on YouTube, so you may be able to see this. But if you're listening on audio only, switch over to YouTube so you can have a little look. We've released some Football-Oranje scarves. Really quite pleased with these. There's a couple in the background there to show the 2 sides of them. So we're to support what we're doing at Football-Oranje, to keep it a free thing that we do. We're release these scarves so you can first of all have some more merch for you as a Netherlands fan, but also so you can support Football-Oranje and the podcast that we do. So I've actually got one here in my hands. It's got a lovely logo on. And if I hold it up, Abdul's shortly about to receive his, hopefully. And Mike's about to get his in the post. There they are. Football-Oranje. And on the back, we've got #1 Dutch football fan. So just before we go on further and talk about the game, just a chance to share that the link's available in the description for these. And you can, of course, get yourself one. They're available in any country around the world. We can get them posted to you. Not a problem. And we've put the price relatively high for a scarf. We realise that. But that is so that we can raise funds for what we do. And they're also pretty premium scarves. They came from a company that makes scarves for football clubs in Belgium, England, and the Netherlands. You can check them out, actually. Hercules merchandise. They're really, really class scarves. They feel really nice. And they're very warm indeed. If you live in a particularly cold country, though I realise it's getting to springtime in the Northern Hemisphere. But yeah, Abdul, is there anything that I've kind of forgotten to mention here? We did a stream about these recently, didn't we?
About the scarves or about the match?
The scarves. Have I ticked all the boxes?
The scarves are amazing, really. They look really nice. I ordered mine already and I received it, but unfortunately I don't have it with me now. Yeah, and it's not only about winter. You can always bring it with you in any match for Orania, or even you can wear it sometimes, even if the weather is not really cold. You wear it not because of the weather, you wear it because you belong to Orania. As simple as that.
Well said, Abdul. So, I mean, we'll put a link for them anyway, and you can get yourself one if you would like to support Football-Oranje if you can. Let's talk about the game then. So we have got an interesting squad announced where Koeman has again gone for a lot of his familiar names and some quite safe choices. A couple of players are out of this one. I'm going to put it on screen. Mike, what have you made of it? Koeman went on Studio Football in the Netherlands and gave his thoughts on that as well. Was quite honest with the likes of Joshua Zirkzee. I mean, maybe too honest, you could argue, on his thoughts around some of the players. Yeah, and of course the main thing that's causing people a big debate is the selection of Memphis Depay as one of our strikers. Yeah, take it away, Mike. What do you make of it?
I think in terms of Zirkzee, it's quite strange. A couple of weeks ago, I would have said it's justified. It's totally justified that he's been left out because he's not been playing well. But he's actually been starting for Man United as a sort of number 10, just behind the main striker. Mm-hmm. And I think Man United fans would say in the past couple of games, he's actually been their best player. So it actually doesn't look that sensible now to leave him out. I think that he's actually come into form. That means that he could be in there and actually provide something a bit different. Again, it's only based on 2 games, and Koeman's looked at it for the whole season before those 2 games and said that he wasn't good enough, and that's true. He wasn't. It doesn't help that he's playing for Man United. But if he's saying that about Zirkzee and leaving them out, why is he suddenly picked De Ligt when De Ligt was even worse form than Zirkzee? I would say he's been making a lot of mistakes for Man United, but he's back in straight away. It doesn't make much sense to me to do stuff like that. And Memphis, as much as we do need a striker, and Brobbey's slightly injured, Weghorst is injured out, Zirkzee's not in form, he's playing more as a 10. Memphis has been very hot and cold in Brazil. I do follow an account that basically tweets all this stuff about Memphis, and he keeps going on about how Corinthians fans are being too harsh on him, and basically a lot of them are slagging him off for the way he's playing over there. So it's a bit strange to know that and then see him just come back into the Netherlands squad. But I think it's basically he doesn't really have anyone else, which I don't agree with, because he does have Omega. You could have picked him and gone with him. I mean, for me, these 2 games are a chance to possibly experiment with a couple of things ahead of the World Cup qualifiers. So I don't know why you wouldn't pick somebody like Omega, even if it's just to see how good he is, rather than pick, say, an injured Brobbey, an out of form Memphis, and someone like Daniel Malen, who, Michael, you can talk about him more because he's at your club now. But as far as I'm aware, since he's joined Aston Villa, am I right in saying he's done absolutely nothing?
That's a good question. Malen has mostly played on the right, but he's looked really, really good when he's played for the middle as a striker. Because of course, Villa sold their second choice striker. So when Malen was playing there instead of first choice Watkins, that's when he was at his best, because he was pacey and getting in behind and actually looked quite dangerous. When he's played on the right, he's looked best when supporting in the box, which we know as Netherlands fans, like that's what he does. He can score goals. But yeah, he hasn't been first choice, and there was actually a bit of controversy surrounding him, and there were arguments supposedly between Unai Emery, the Villa manager, and Malen, because he was left out of a Champions League squad. They signed a number of good players, Villa, over the January transfer window, but Malen being left out must have been a real kick in the teeth because of him just signing. That's one of the reasons why he signed, but it was why other players had signed too. There just wasn't enough space for him. And yeah, so in the league, then you're thinking, or the FA Cup, which Villa are still active in, he'll get more minutes and he'll play. But actually, he came on as like a last-minute sub in one of the games domestically, and you're thinking, then why wasn't he playing in those? If they're having to rotate for the Champions League, it's important to get him fresh for competitions. Yeah, he hasn't been given minutes, and I think there's something that has happened there. It wouldn't have felt good to be being left out, but he also, as a professional, has to accept that, doesn't he? And perhaps his attitude towards that hasn't been the best. So, in short, like, he has been typical Daniel Malen. He has been inconsistent. He has been good in moments and not so effective in others. So that's just frustrating for him that, again, he can't nail down a place in the Villa team and then play for the Netherlands, because we're in need of a right winger that can support in attack and also in need of a striker. He just can't nail it down in either of those positions.
Obviously, Koeman is having a problem in the front line. And we saw that in the Euros. We saw that in the Nations League group stage. He keeps switching players. He keeps rotating. Obviously, he doesn't know how to find the right three attackers, the best way to attack. And we saw that also with his selection, as Mike said. None of the players are actually starters with their team. So how are you going to play? Are you going to put Simons in the right? Simons is doing great with his team, but he's not really a right winger, and he's not really doing well. He never did well as a right winger. When he tried him behind the attackers, he was much better. So is he going to do it again and put Simons as a right winger? That's not going to work, and we saw that in the Euros. Malen, again, if Malen plays in that position, he hasn't been a starter for a while now. So I don't know how this is going to work, really. Many people are talking about Omega, and I think this is true because he's the best striker we have nowadays. He scored 11 goals in 20 games. I don't think any Dutch striker has this number of goals. Why?
Abdul, just for those that may not be sure, what can you tell us about Omega? Doesn't he play in Liga?
To be honest, I don't know which club he plays for. Yeah, I got mixed up.
Yeah,
Strasbourg.
Oh yes, Strasbourg. Sorry, Strasbourg. Yeah, I'm sorry, but I just know how many goals he scored. 11 goals in 20 games. I think that's more than enough for him to be selected. While Broby is being a sub, and many people talk about him being injured, so we're not really sure that he is fully ready. We're not really sure that Gakpo is also fully ready. He lost his position lately. I don't know why. Is it due to injury, or is it because he's not doing well? I have no idea, really. So it's only Simons who's been doing well, and maybe Frimpong. That's all I can think of. I don't know how we're gonna play, really. Even Lang, who's been doing great with PSV, he's not even a starter. Sometimes he loses his position. So it's kind of confusing, really. I don't know how he's going to play. I don't know how Koeman is going to play.
I always feel like I have to take the role of devil's advocate at some of the things that you guys say. And I'm going to challenge what you said there, Abdul. Mike, perhaps you could fill us in, because I don't know if you've seen any more of Omega. I've not seen Omega play much, and clearly, Abdul, you haven't either. With the amount of goals he scored, people are crying out for him. Netherlands fans are crying out for this striker. But who's actually seen him play? And wouldn't they then be able to argue whether or not he's good enough for the Netherlands? Like, we've watched lots of Broby, and whilst he's not scoring many goals, he is in better form, and his hold-up play does make him worth selecting. He showed against Germany that he can be a good selection. So then you argue, actually, maybe that is a good choice. But Mike, what can you tell us about Omega?
Yeah, so I've watched some of the Strasbourg games this season. I think the thing that's gone against him is that he was scoring in basically every single game until the last two. So the last two he didn't score in. And maybe Koeman's then had less of a choice to make. But I think he should have been selected because he's a bit different. He's taller, he's quicker, he can hold the ball up, he's got technique. He actually reminds me, and I'm not just saying this because I'm a Newcastle fan, he actually reminds me of what Isak was like when he was in the Netherlands. He was tall, good on the ball, can score goals. He is a bit greedy at times, like he does not pass his teammates sometimes, and there's criticism of maybe he could play a bit more in terms of getting more assists. But I think raw-wise, he is the best young striker that Netherlands have. I do think he is an option that if you're saying we are short in this position, he should be in it. I know that Football International actually did an article recently with one of their main scouters, basically saying he should be in the squad because when he's on a pitch, stuff happens because he's got pace, he's got height, he's got technique, he can score goals. He's raw, and defenses can't really handle him at times. Whereas I think this Netherlands squad, one thing I can say about it is it's predictable. I think everybody knows these players. Everyone knows what they're going to get. If you threw in an Omega against Spain, it's going to bring something different. He's going to bring something different to his team. He's different from Memphis. He's different from Robbie. He's much different from Xerxes as well. So, yeah, for me, it's frustrating that he's still with the under-21s when, yes, they're preparing for the Euros, but they're playing 2 friendly games. And 2 friendlies, we're not going to learn much from that in terms of what he can bring to under-21s, whereas we could have learned something if he was given a chance to at least train with these players. And the fact that there's been a player dropped out and no replacement brought in infuriates me even more, because I'm like, why isn't Koeman having a look at these players now? You could say if they're training together as Zeist, he might say, oh, a couple will come over from under-21s or join the group and let's see what he can do. He's done that before. But yeah, I think Omega should be in the squad, because he is one that, if he was for a different country, if he was playing for Spain, he'd be in the squad, because they give chances to young players. That's why they've got Yamal in there, Gavi, Pedri, whereas the Netherlands, they seem to wait until they're at a bigger club and then go, okay, now you can have a chance. Whereas other countries seem to go, okay, here's somebody that we need. He's in good form. Let's just get him in and have a look at him. Whereas I still think there's a bias in the Netherlands of, oh, you're not playing for a big club. Oh, well, you're not selected. I don't know your club that well. You're not selected. Same way, you could say the same way Sam Stein. I know that Eredivisie is different, but in FC20 aren't a big name. But if you're a top goal scorer at Eredivisie from midfield, or if you're a top goal scorer of La Liga from midfield, Spain would be calling you in to take a look at you. But we seem to be like, nah, he's playing for FC20, so he's probably not good enough. Why not just take a look at him in these 2 games?
Yeah. If you allow me to add, the Strasbourg now is the 7th in the league, and they actually do have a chance to be in Europe, to have a European seat, And as I mentioned, scoring 11 goals in 20 games is not really something we see from many Dutch strikers. And Mike reminded us also of Stein. Many people were wanting really Stein to be a part of this squad. He has been scoring so many goals for Twente, and he is actually the top scorer by a big margin if you compare him to the other strikers. It was a surprise for him to be left, especially at these times where we don't really have a player who score goals. I know Stein is an attacking midfielder. He's not really a striker, but at least put him in the squad, since you have so many injuries. I was expecting to see him at least in the squad. I'm really disappointed for not seeing him there, really.
Koeman has said, though, that he's watching Stein and he's on his radar. But I think if he'd scored 20 goals and he was playing for Ajax, be in the squad, and that's a sad thing. But maybe even as far as RZ, I don't know. But yeah, final PSV, like he's in the squad, isn't he? But yeah, on Stein, I'm not 100% convinced that he has that all-round game. He scores a lot of goals, really, really good at it. But I can see why he might not be in here. Equally, I'd love to see some different names. I'd love to see Stein given a chance. I'd love to see him prove me wrong as well, and play as number 10 and score. But there is someone we haven't talked about yet that has been excelling at the number 10 position, and that's Justin Kluivert at Bournemouth, scoring goals, really looking good technically. I think Bournemouth are a little out of form at the moment, having not won in the last 4. But up until recently, yeah, really great stuff. I don't know if either of you two have seen him play lately, but yeah, he's really coming on in his game.
Yeah, sadly, I watched him rip Newcastle apart at St James's Park because he's got a hat-trick against us. So
didn't want to mention that.
So yeah, he's been one of the best players this season, and I think for years we've all been saying about Justin Kluivert that he's not lived up to potential. He's not shown what he could have been, and a lot of people were down on him since he had all these big moves and it never really worked out. But he seems to have finally found a club that is playing him where he should be played. He seems confident, and he's showing that he can belong at a level like the Premier League, and he's even getting linked to bigger clubs. I think in the most recent, it might be rubbish, but Newcastle even linked to him to say that we're scouting him ahead of a potential move in the summer. So he is getting interest. He is playing well. He scores goals. He can score from distance. He can score from inside the box. He can create chances. He gets assists. He takes the corners as well. So he's a player that's in good form. And if you're looking for someone to play for basically the 10 position for Netherlands, he is a good option. So between him, Reinders and Simmons, I think Koeman has options for that 10 position. But I don't want just to see Justin Kluivert put into the side on the right wing and then basically put out to fail, because that's not where he's been playing for Bournemouth. And if you just say, okay, play him on the right wing, then he doesn't play well, and that could hurt his chances of coming back, where he is week in, week out now, a shadow striker 10 for Bournemouth, and that's where he should be played for the Netherlands.
Definitely. It's great to have options, but with Reinders doing so well in the 10 position lately for the Netherlands, he's unlikely to concede that position to Kluivert. So I don't want to see him squashing on the right side, where that's not where he's been playing. That's not where he's and definitely agree with that. I just don't think he's going to start either of these games.
Yeah,
sort of unfortunately, but if he gets a chance off the bench, like that's how he's going to have to force his way in.
Koeman doesn't like to make major substitutions when he faces big names. We've seen that. Usually when he plays big opponents, he always sticks to the plan, sticks to the same selection with only few changes. Although it never worked, at least at his second spell, but he insists on that. I'm afraid really that we see again Memphis Depay as a striker, and we see Gakpo and Simmons and the right back, the same way he used to play in the Euros, where it did not really work that much. I'm afraid that's what we're gonna see really.
Should we go into the starting 11 to feel like we're getting around some of these selections? Let's do it bit by bit. So if we start in goal, I'm thinking Verbruggen's the best option there still, even though he's conceded a couple of goals lately. It make you a little bit more concerned. Abdul, who's your goalkeeper?
Definitely, it's Verbruggen. I don't think we will see any surprises in the goalkeeper.
Yeah, well, Verbruggen is the goalkeeper, but interesting question is coming up now because of a bit of spam on X from a Ghanaian reporter, basically who got Owusu Duro to an interview and basically spun his words to say that he basically said that he wanted to come out and play for Ghana, which he never said. Michael, I know you watch a lot of AZ. Would you say that Owusu Duro could be number 2, number 3 in the squad if you're sort of taking out Nikolai at the moment? Yes. Or would you say that he's still...
Yeah. No, I think he's good. I think he's that good. But the thing for him is he needs to play. So if he's going in as third choice, like that suits Nikolai at the moment in his career. But Owusu Duro, yeah, I think it should be called up as one of those 3.
Yeah, because I know Koeman named him as one of the young players he's watching. But yeah, it's another one of these ones where you've got another country sniffing around that you're kind of like, oh, could we just get him in, get him capped? But he's under 21 anyway, so like, no, is he? No, he'd be capped if he played. So yeah, I feel to me that he's probably better and more potential than Nikolai and Mark Flecken at the moment. So going to World Cup qualifiers might be after the European Championships for under 21s. He's one that probably could come in and then challenge for that number 1 spot.
Okay, what about the defence then? That back 4, I think it has to choose itself. Dumfries right back, Van Dijk and Van Hecker in the middle, Timber at left back.
Yes, that's probably how it's gonna go. But I don't really know about who's gonna be with the Van Dijk. Is it really gonna be Van Hecker?
I think that's the most likely option. He's good on the ball. Spain are going to be technical, good on the ball as well. Otherwise, you're looking at bringing in Hato probably at left back realistically. So there's a lack of options there this time.
Yeah, I was thinking of actually Van Dijk, Timber, and Hato as a left back. That also could be an option. I don't mind that really. Hato's been amazing. Even in the worst days of Ajax, he was the only one who was actually a shining star. He's always doing great with the team, so I don't mind seeing him. So it's probably Dumfries, Van Dijk, that's for sure. But then it's either Timber or Hato. Depends how Koeman wants that to happen.
I'll be happy with either of those 2 options, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly.
I think Van Heck has been doing so well for Brighton. Him and Van Dijk, I think, could be a very good partnership. I think coming up against Spain, they're going to be coming up against Morata. I mean, I think both of them could handle him. I think the most, key areas for Netherlands is who's going to be on Yamal and who's going to be on Williams, because that's where Spain are going to hurt. So Dumfries is going to have to watch the right-hand side, and then whoever's going to play left has to be defensive because you can't allow Williams and Yamal just to have all the space in behind. So yeah, I think either Timber or Hato can do the job. I think I'm not reserved about either of them.
And then you see why Martin wasn't called up as well. He's still lacking minutes for Villa. But yeah, it's too attacking for this one. Then midfield, I've written down. Wow, I keep flitting between the two. De Jong and Havenberg have to play as a two for me in the centre. And at number 10, it's Reinders or Kluivert. And I'm a big fan of Reinders, but I've just been excited by what I've seen from Kluivert lately. And given this is a glorified friendly competition, why not throw in someone new? But I'm expecting Reinders.
I'm expecting Reinders too. I don't think he will make any changes. I don't think Koeman will make any changes. It's going to be Reinders, Frankie de Jong, and Gravenberch. I don't think there will be any changes.
Yeah, totally agree. And the fact that Reinders scored for AC Milan yesterday as well, I think he's gone into it in good shape.
Player.
So I think that Reinders will be 10. And then, yeah, I think basically the starting 11 picks itself. It's going to be Gravenberch and it's going to be Frankie de Jong. And it's good that Frankie de Jong, I watched Barcelona in the Champions League game in midweek and I thought he was excellent, making little runs and stuff like that. So, yeah, I think we've got Frankie back in good form. So I'm excited to see what he can do alongside Gravenberch as well.
You say it picks itself, but I don't know if you'd have the same front three as me. Even you might do. But I've gone with Frimpong on the right wing. I agree with what that some people have been saying in the Netherlands, that this is a chance for him to play there because it has kind of worked before. And Koeman still sees Frimpong as a right winger. Memphis is going to play as a striker and Hap on the left wing. So what do you both want to do with that then?
The thing is, Koeman insists on Simmons, and I think Simmons comes first. Yeah. So I don't think Frimpong will have a chance to be a starter unless Koeman decides to make some changes, I would love to see Frimpong as a starter, really, as a right wing. Left wing is Gakpo. The striker is the issue. Is it going to be Depay, Memphis? I'm not really sure about that. But I think Koeman is going to use Memphis. If it comes to me, I would say Frimpong, Broby, and Gakpo.
Yeah, I think the most obvious one is Simmons to play right wing. But Frimpong's a good option because Frimpong can also help out at the back. So Frimpong's got the pace to get back and help out, which is what Netherlands, as I said earlier on, is what they're going to need. They're going to need to double up on Yamal and Williams. So maybe we'll go with Frimpong because he can be with a pace to get back, help out more than what Simmons would. I think Simmons sometimes just gives away silly fouls when he tries to help out. So yeah, I think I would like to see Frimpong, but watching Koeman, knowing Koeman, it's going to be Simmons.
Yeah, the starting 11 is quite easy to pick with only a couple of positions that we're not too sure of. And that's kind of good in some ways. Like we've got that consistency of who we're going to select. And it's good to have people like de Jong back because we know that when he plays at his best, the Netherlands can just look a different level. But we are waiting to still see that level of performance again from him. Let's hope that it comes back. I'm going to take off the squad now. Let's see our faces a bit more. And yeah, talking of the game then, the opposition, Spain, we've come up against the Euro winners and just generally a really, really strong outfit. Just so good, so youthful, and probably going to beat the Netherlands. What hope is there really? I mean, Mike, you said that the squad isn't as strong as you thought it would be. Who's missing from it, and who are the players that we still need to watch out for?
Well, the one that I thought they would pick, because I think it would be a bit of a rub in your face to the Netherlands, was Dean Howson. I thought he would be in the squad. He's been doing really, really well for Bournemouth. He's getting linked to every single big club in the world. And when, again, I watched Bournemouth against Newcastle, he absolutely shut down Isak. So when you got a player like that at your disposal, who you've taken from the Netherlands, I thought he would be 100% in that squad. I think Gavi's also out, the Barcelona midfielder. So I'm looking at the squad now, and the starting 11 looks like Unai Simon in goal, Inigo Martinez, Cubarsí, the Barcelona centre backs, Pedro Porro, the Tottenham right back, Cucurella for Chelsea, Fabian Ruiz, Zubimendi, Pedri, Williams on the left, Yamal on the right, and Morata up front. I think the ones you got to watch are the wingers. So you got to watch Yamal, who's incredible, and Williams and Pedri in behind him as well. But I think that Morata is getting to the stage where is he really the best striker they've got? And then even below him, they've got a Jose Perez who's in the squad. So I think that if they can keep that quiet, they just need to keep the wings. That's where the danger is going to come from. I think Zubamendi up against Frenkie de Jong in the field is an interesting battle as well, because Zubamendi's great at keeping the ball, getting it forward, and Frenkie de Jong's the same for Netherlands. So whoever wins that battle. But I think, Kbarsi and Inigo Martinez, two good centre backs, but you kind of hope the Netherlands would be able to hurt that defence.
Well, if you allow me to say, we forgot to mention one selection also for Oranje that nobody talked about, actually, Geert Rauda. Not many people are happy with his selection. I still don't know why he was selected. Yeah, even the fans of Leipzig are really dissing him in many matches. So I don't know what Koeman was thinking really when he selected him.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it was a waste selection with all the defensive options that Netherlands has.
Yeah, and even another one of the young players that he called out for AZ was Wouter Ghost, but again, he's left with under 21s. Now, I don't know if Wouter Ghost is ready yet. The big mistake he made against Tottenham probably justified his unselection from the squad. But I think that by the time the World Cup comes around, he's going to be an excellent choice for a squad player. But I think it might just be a bit too soon for him.
Yeah, of course, he's very aggressive, loves the duels, he loves the fight of it all, and I think he's very good. But yeah, not quite there yet. Yeah, Spain then I'm sure will cause Netherlands a lot of problems, and that first game, a two-legged sort of affair, it's going to be crucial. The Netherlands. I know it can throw surprise results, but I think for Netherlands they have to win the first leg, and then it is a case of resetting for the second leg, isn't it? I don't think you'd want a draw particularly, or certainly like a one goal defeat. I don't think the Netherlands is going to suddenly turn that around. We can all be optimistic about that, but it just then become very difficult.
Well, it can go either way. It can end with a draw in both matches, and then we have to go to shootouts. And we lose as usual in penalty shootout. Yeah, but who knows? I mean, you can expect anything. After all, Oranje is a big football name. We can always cause trouble to the opponents. Although this Spain is probably the best Spanish team since they won the World Cup in 2010. And I think somehow this team is even stronger, really. They have all what it takes, and they are becoming stronger than France, in my opinion. I kept saying in the past few years that France has the best team in the world. I think Spain now does have the best team in the world, but still we can get a good result out of this match if we play right. The problem with Koeman is you don't know what to expect. You see the team doing great in a match, and the match after the team is terrible. We've seen that in many occasions. But about losing this match and having the easy group for the World Cup qualifier, even if we go far in the Nations League and we have a tough group for the World Cup qualifier, we can still come second and go to the playoffs. The playoffs for a team that won or that reached the semifinal of the Nations League. You can also go from the back door, you can go to the playoffs. So I don't think this is going to be a problem. I don't agree with any fan who wants Oranje to lose against Spain, to have an easy group,
Let's talk about, sorry, Matt, I want to come in, but I did want to mention the whole Koeman against top teams debacle, because we haven't really fully discussed it yet, but we're saying about how tough it is. So what chance do we even have, given that our record is really poor against those sorts of teams?
Yeah, I think that because we've not played for a while, I think there's optimism again. So it's like, you're sort of forgetting what happened before. You're like, it's a new time, or we're going to be fine. We're going to go up against Spain. Or you're winners, or we'll beat them. But if you look at the last 5 results for Netherlands, they've only won 1 game. So the last 5 results: 2-2 against Germany, 1-1 away to Hungary, lost against Germany, beat a terrible Hungary side 4-0, but then drew away against Bosnia. So Netherlands aren't in good form, and they're not going into this in good form. There's no new players that are in here. I just can't see how we turn up and beat Spain. I just don't see it. And the fact that they've got so many good players in great form, like Yamal, like Williams, Barcelona are doing really well in the Champions League. To me, this seems like it's on paper an almost impossible task if Netherlands play like they have been playing. Unless Koeman's come up with some solution in the past few months that totally changes the way he plays and the way that Netherlands play. Just looking at the previous results against bigger teams, the current form against lesser teams, it doesn't seem to be anything in there that says to me, oh, Netherlands good. At home, they can beat anyone. The home leg, it could be 1-0, 2-1. But I think if you go to Spain and play like they have been recently, then it's going to be 2-3 now at Spain.
Well, it's we have no problem with the individuals. All the individuals play in the highest level. Really, they play for big teams. They are doing great with their teams. At least the defenders and the midfielders. It's all about how Koeman is gonna form all this. How Koeman is gonna come up with the best lineup. This is the problem. So our problem actually with the coach, not with the quality of players.
Yeah, precisely that. And if we fail again in this, Koeman's still going to have his job. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
I think that now De Jong has been brought in to be this top position at the KNVB, and we yet to see if he's actually got anything about him, like ruthlessness, decision making. I think the first time that him and Koeman go somewhere, they go to Brazil together to watch Memphis. You don't see Koeman in the crowd at Strasbourg. You don't see him in the crowd at games where Netherlands players are doing well. You don't see him in the crowd at Bournemouth. You don't see him in the crowd at any of these sort of places. You see him going to the players that he knows about. So he's going to talk to Memphis and Brazil. He's going to talk to Frankie de Jong. He's going to talk to Van Dijk. He's going to talk to all the big names. But is he turning up at AZ Alkmaar games to watch them? He might turn up to one today because it's at Ajax. So he might be in the crowd there. But, is he watching AZ, playing against, in the Europa League against Tottenham? Was he there? No. So Koeman is the worry for me. And if these 2 games do get lost, what's the KNB going to do? Because then that's 7 games, only 1 win. Not good enough going into World Cup qualifiers. It's so important for the Netherlands. So I think this just increases the pressure. I think Koeman's had the glory of having 4 months off. And I do think that when you do have 4 months off, you sort of forget. Whereas if you do lose these 2 games, the pressure is just going to be on twofold.
Well, I think if we play well, it's gonna be. We will have to thank Frankie de Jong. He played only 1 match for Oranje since the Euros, and in that match we did really great against Hungary, where we won comfortably 4-0. I think we all praised the team, but we all saw how important Frankie is. So if Frankie plays his best in his day, we could really come up with a good result, hopefully.
Yeah. I think that everything's now geared towards the World Cup, and as much as it sounds negative to say, we could lose these games, there is players coming through by the time the World Cup comes around that are good prospects that can make the squad better. It's just a case of giving them that chance, and then finding players that are better than the ones that we currently have, finding somebody that can do better than Don Yamal and that can do better than Dumfries. Sometimes can do better than Verbruggen if Verbruggen's making mistakes. If you can find a striker, that's the main thing. But there is players coming through, and I think that over this international period, you might watch Netherlands lose against Spain. But if you watch the under-21s, there's good players there. If you watch the under-19s and under-17s, they both have European qualifiers in the next week. There is good players coming through there. So, I think there is optimism for Netherlands in the next couple of years. It's just with that coach that we have currently, it's all up in the air at the moment.
And with that, let's go on to predictions. Who wants to go first?
Mike.
I've been saying it the whole time. I can't see Netherlands winning this one. I think 1-2. I think a 2-1 loss to Spain.
I expect a draw in both matches, actually. Yeah.
Now you said that, I'm starting to think that could actually be a thing.
I expect it to be a draw really in both matches, but then the shootouts, I don't know what will happen.
And I'm going to go. I mean, we might do a separate prediction for the second leg, but I'm thinking the first one it will be a draw, maybe 1-1.
1-1.
We'll be evaluating it, thinking second leg, can we do it? Probably not. But I think that at home we are better, so we'll have a good chance.
Who do you see scoring? If we're going to score goals, who do you think is going to be one? If say it's going to be 1-1, who's going to be the one that scores the goal for Netherlands?
Cody Gakpo.
I would say that might surprise you. I think it's Dumfries actually.
Well, to be fair, he's the one that scores all the goals these days. So.
Yeah,
exactly.
What about you?
I think if we get it, it'll be like from a corner. So I'm going to say somebody like Van Hecke or Van Dijk just to like stab it in at a corner. I think Dumfries is a good shout as well. If we do score, it'll be like a set piece.
Yeah.
I do think Spain have not the tallest team. So I think if you've got somebody like Van Hecke, you've got somebody like Van Dijk, if you can find somebody that can take a decent set piece, you might actually trouble them.
Do you see Memphis scoring?
No.
I mean, Brian Brobby's in the squad. He might start with Brobby.
Yeah.
Or do you think it's like definite that Memphis starts because of his selection?
He could start
with the Brobby actually.
Probably preferable, isn't it, to start with Brobby?
But he's not fit, so that's why I think the Memphis will come in. And I think Koeman's words were telling when he said, "Oh, if you're bringing Memphis into like the provisional squad, he's going to be in the main one, and then if you're bringing him all the way from Brazil, he's going to play." So I think he's going to start.
Unfortunately, you have a point. Yes.
Yeah.
Koeman said as well, he's the fittest he's ever been. Does that help encourage you?
No, because I don't think he's telling the truth. I don't know how you know
that.
I don't.
What about the Instagram videos that he posts? Don't his reels do it for you?
I don't remember the last time I praised Memphis with Oranje. Really, I cannot even remember. It's been a while now. He always makes us angry when he plays.
We've definitely been there. We've definitely had that time. He has had those real good times, and he's not exactly 36, 37. So,
but you're talking about maybe 4 or 5 years ago, because in the Euros he was terrible, unfortunately, and of course in the Nations League as well. So,
yeah. I think that we'd all love him to come in and break the record and be like the top scorer and then do really well. But his form for Corinthians has been okay. He's getting some assists, but you see all the videos and it's kind of like crosses into the box that he's getting his assists for. It's not like he's doing magical things. He scored a free kick, I think, a few weeks ago. And a few of the goals that he's been scoring, like, the goalkeepers over in Brazil don't look great because it seems to be straight at them and he's just fumbling them into the net. It's not as much as people want to say Brazil is like a top level.
I think everybody's better, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, for me it is anyway. So I would have rather seen Memphis doing what he's doing now, but at PSV, I don't understand why you'd want to go to Brazil.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and look, before we go, we must touch upon our live stream. Of course, that will come out after the Netherlands game on Thursday, so be around for that, everyone, and find us on YouTube for that. And I mean, if we get enough likes on this one, maybe we'll do a preview for the second leg as well as the live stream. We'll have to see how we go. But do support us and subscribe and like if you're on YouTube. And if you're on like a podcast provider somewhere, wherever we've been put on the internet, do give us a like and rating wherever you are there. But yeah, from the three of us, I guess, like this game, we just want it to be a spectacle. We want to enjoy a nice Netherlands game. There's no it's not a World Cup quarterfinal. This is the Nations League quarterfinal where we can still experiment and there is something to play for, which is great. But knowing that this is again another acid test for the KMVB to look at it and go, should Koeman still be here? Probably not. Or it goes positive and we get encouraged again going into qualifiers and perhaps the next World Cup that we can do against top sides. Our optimism always wants us to lead to believe that we can do it. and we will do it.
Well, Koeman should take the match seriously because this could be the first trophy ever for Oranje since 1988. So he should take it seriously. We are in the quarterfinal, so you're talking about 3 steps to the final, 3 steps to win actually the competition. So I think Koeman is going to take it seriously, but it depends all on his mentality. I really hope he does his best with the lineup.
Yeah, there's positive either way. If you win, you're through. If you lose, you've got, as much as you say, you've got a better World Cup draw, and then you've got more pressure on Koeman to maybe make some big selection changes coming to World Cup qualifiers. So there's positives either way. There's obviously negatives either way as well, because we could be in for another 2 really bad Netherlands performances on the back of a really bad week for Dutch clubs in Europe. So yeah, it could all be looking rather dreary. But yeah, I think that there's positives either way you can take from it. If Netherlands turn up and beat Spain, then you're like, wow, maybe Koeman is the guy for the job. Doesn't matter who we get in World Cup qualifiers, we'll beat them. But if we lose both these games, get knocked out, look really bad defensively, look poor in attack, then yeah, it's going to cause a lot of questions.
Okay, thanks you guys, and a nice elongated podcast for anyone that's missed us on our Netherlands podcast. So yeah, that was enjoyable, guys, and one last shout out as well for Football-Oranje scarves. I just hold it up again. Get yourself one of these now. Any country in the world will post to. And yeah, luxury scarves. They feel really nice. They do keep you nice and warm. And yeah, good scarf size as well. There's lots to like about this. So get yourself one now. Yeah, bye from the 3 of us, and more from us on Thursday night. Bye, everyone.